saved a woman and her newborn baby who'd been held hostage by carrying them out of a house just before it blew up. That act of heroism had landed him on the front page of several newspapers and on magazine covers and had led to several television and radio appearances. There was even a movie in the works, and through it all, joy had been by his side. His joy in the morning, and later, she had become his joy at night. And in less than an hour, she would become his joy forever. She would wear his name, share his life, have his babies, and make him as happy as he intended to make her. "Getting nervous?" He glanced over at Shepard and smiled. "No, Shep, I'm not nervous, just anxious to get things started." In addition to Shepard, Stonewall was lucky to have two other best men by his side, Quasar Patterson and Stryker Jennings. Quasar and Stryker were like brothers to him, and he'd also met them in prison. Quasar, who was Cuban-American and stood tall at 6'2" with straight black hair flowing around his shoulders, had gotten married last year to renowned psychic investigator Randy Fuller. Months before that, Stryker, who stood over 6'3" and looked more like a professional bodybuilder than a skilled bodyguard, had married an heiress he had been hired to protect, Margot Connolly. Both Stryker and Quasar often wore sappy grins on their faces these days. Obviously, marriage agreed with them. Stonewall had no doubt marriage would agree with him as well. "Be patient, Stonewall. You'll see your beautiful bride soon enough," Quasar said, smiling. "I am trying to be patient." "You want me to give you a quick breathing lesson?" Stryker offered, grinning. Stonewall rolled his eyes. Stryker's wife, Margot, was expecting the couple's first child, and Stryker was accompanying her to childbirth classes. "I'm getting married, Stryker, not having a baby." "Yeah, but certain breathing practices can calm you down," Stryker insisted. "Thanks, but I'll pass." Stonewall glanced out at the audience again before looking down at his watch. When Father John Martinsight took his place beside him and the music began playing, Stonewall knew it was time. The best part of his life was about to start. "You okay, honey?" Joy looked up at her father, who looked handsome in his tuxedo. Today he had put aside his uniform as chief of police in Baton Rouge to simply be the father of the bride. "Yes, Dad. I'm fine." "Well, you look beautiful, Joy Elise." She couldn't help but smile. "Thanks, Dad." Stryker's wife, Margot, had designed her wedding dress, and she felt beautiful in the off-the-shoulder, flowing white gown made of satin and lace. "I love you, Dad," Joy whispered. "I love you back, honey." While growing up, her father had always been her hero. Of her 3 siblings, she was the only one who had followed him into law enforcement. She had been a police officer, then a detective, and last year she'd been promoted to lieutenant with the Charlottesville, Virginia Police Department. Then again, she'd always been a daddy's girl. "I'm happy." He smiled down at her. "I know you are, and I can thank Stonewall for that. I guess I don't have to tell you that you're getting a good man." That meant a lot coming from her father, whom she'd always thought to be a good judge of character, even though he'd sometimes given people the benefit of the doubt, people like her ex-fiancé. She drew in a deep breath, fighting her nervousness. Her sister Cheer, who was her matron of honor, was about to enter the church. Cheer would be followed by the ring bearer, one of Joy's nephews, and then 2 of her nieces, who were her flower girls. The wedding reception would take place in the huge ballroom of the Lake House Reception Center. Last night's rehearsal dinner had been wonderful. Joy's ever-observant detective eyes had noticed a number of things, like the way Stonewall's good friend Dakota Navarro, a wealthy, international playboy and jet-setter, couldn't seem to take his eyes off of Stonewall's sister Mellie, and how Joy's friend Dr. Lennox Roswell, a medical examiner for the Charlottesville Police Department, kept discreetly checking out Stonewall's boss, Roland Summers. Roland, who owned a bodyguard protection agency, was not only Stonewall's boss, but also a close friend. Lennox was a drop-dead gorgeous woman and was used to men ogling her. Joy found it interesting that this time it was Lennox who seemed to be on alert. And finally, Joy's eyes settled again on Andrew.